Hi, I'm Helen. Autumn is a transitional time of year. The equinox opening a portal for many cultures to celebrate festivals of the dead, such as the Celtic Samhain, when ghosts and spirits were believed to be abroad. With this in mind, I'm continuing to draw on legends of paradisical islands said to be the realm of the unseelie folk and fortunate ghosts in my continuing tales about Prokonessos. I present this magical island as having an oracle where pilgrims can enter the underworld to make contact with the dead. But, just as in ancient times, a consultation with the oracle is complex to organise. However, a far less expensive alternative on Prokonessos would be a visit to a Psychomanteum. What follows is an experience told from a first-person point of view, as though you had bought a ticket for that alternative option on Prokonessos. So I'll begin. Partly visible below, under the trees, is a single-storied rectangular hacienda, its pan-tiled roof green with moss. After parking in its grounds, you follow a pavement that goes under an arch into a courtyard where first you can hear water sprinkling, then glimpse a silver reflection in a bronze bowl, only to be confronted with the backside of a statue. You step under a low-lit portico and snappily rap the knocker on the double-fronted door. It resounds somewhere in the rear with that empty house echo, but you wait, listening to waves hissing and slapping on a shore that sounds surprisingly close. The door clicks open and you swing round to stare at a woodland sprite in tights. Under the grease paint, his grin has the suave crookedness of a Tibetan fox. He adopts a stance and says, "Needed help to move some prop equipment because we cut a power cable." He does a sweeping bow, undoes a leather lace holding a pouch next to his throat, and reveals a crystal key. You also have one of these and hold it up. Then the circus performer stands back so you can enter. That lascivious bum on that statue has you a bit worried about what goes on in this place. You squeeze past into the hallway and see mirrors everywhere, some playing fairground distortion tricks with your body image. Donald Duck leers out of the gloom when you put on a side lamp, and its light casts a kaleidoscope of jumbled splinters onto the ceiling. You're glad there are no dilapidated pop-up toys to rackle your nerves, as although they're a jumpstart cliche in horror movies, you still find them quite effective. If you think about it, even newly painted in their day, such toys must have been a little bit creepy. Or perhaps the children they were initially bought for were made of sterner stuff. You discover a stereoscopic viewer with cards showing Charlie Chaplin on the run from the butcher, which has you nervously giggling. Is this really a fun house? In the next room you turn on electric candles, and in the dimness the decor resembles a fortune teller's parlour where you admire framed stills from Disney cartoons sizzling with slapstick energy. A library of art books line all built-in shelves, and there's a Scandinavian recliner provided should you wish to read them. A bottle of brandy is placed next to a radiogram that's humming a faint tune. Its dial glows in the amber fluid. Continuing to explore down a narrow hallway, you enter a windowless room with a rounded pit in the floor. This is partially covered with a lapis lazuli blue lid. A dark blue fluid floats underneath. You dip your finger in and taste ink. There's also an ancient body-sized Greek jar propped in a corner. You wipe your finger and then, using your other hand, slowly draw back a velvet curtain. The curtain rail is fixed in an arc on the ceiling, and this surrounds an easy chair with its back to you. The chair legs have been removed, and this reclines the sitter slightly backwards to prevent them from being reflected in a door-sized mirror mounted on the facing wall at about a metre away and around the same distance above the floor. There's someone in the armchair. Their head is below the headrest, and a light flickers from a small candle down on the floor. You see your own face reflected in the darkness of the mirror. The person in the chair appears asleep. At first, an apparent depth of view in the mirror had merely reflected the velvet curtain behind the chair, but now the surface was becoming more three-dimensional, with smokiness shot through with blue lights. You're fixed to the spot as the mirror becomes a window with a view of the woods just outside. There's a sound of neighing. The sleeper's shoulders jump, and you hear this person whisper, "Nightmare." Women emerge from behind the trees. Their bare skin gleams, and they wear animal-headed masks. Most of these are mares' heads with some sows, and there's a couple of dogs, bitches' heads. And they all ride hobby horses. You point and snigger and ask, "Are they for real?" You're overheard, and as one, the masked heads turn to face you and remove their masks. Your legs obey you at last, and you start shambling backwards out of the booth, and the curtain flourishes partly closed in front of you. But the nightmares have downed their wooden steeds and in a mass surge. They lunge forward to jump down out of the mirror into the booth. There's a split second when no one moves. Then their hands reach past the curtain and yank you back, hauling you out of the booth and up into the mirror. Hobby horses mounted, the pack leaders gallop off on foot, storming into the woodland glade and disappear in the undergrowth, with your squirming body held high above their heads. The sleeper in the chair is now bawling after them to let you go, and shoots a gun skyward into the mirror. There's a ricochet, chunk, chick, and the person from the armchair is surprised to see a lagging nightmare flop forward over the mirror frame, her legs scrambling on the booth floor. Her leap to pursuit the others scuppered, and armchair person stares down at blood pooling, then seeping into the parquet tiles. Lifting up the nightmare's legs, armchair person gives her body a hard shove, and the leaden body plops down into the silvery glade just beyond the mirror's frame. Then armchair person withdraws into the darkened booth and watches the mirror's surface cloud and the woods vanish, and then stares at the reflected backdrop of velvet curtains behind the chair. The hands still trembling from firing the gun, armchair person wonders just where you have gone. Then they get a bucket and cloth to clean away the nightmare's blood on the floor. Tune in next time for more dark tales from Prokonessos. Until then, bye for now.